TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power. Hello and welcome to TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani and Powerade. I'm your host, Anmar Goodrich Boyce, and tonight Damien Best is my producer. And joining me in the studio, I have two special guests. I have the head coach of the Barbados Senior Men's National Football Team, Kent Hall, and I have the head coach and technical director of Ellerton's Football Club, Corey Beanieman Barrow. This is where we take a break and come back with highlights, analysis, and so much more on TouchLine. TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power. TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power. Welcome back to TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani, Powerade, and the Barbados Football Association. Well, no time to waste. Let's get a look at the highlights from last night's action at the Wildy Turf. Kickstart Rush and St Andrew Lions battling it out first at the Wildy Turf. It was goalless after 45 minutes, so on to the second half. This is the hour mark. Shamar Edwards in on goal. Neat finish past the oncoming keeper. Lions lead 1-0. But that advantage didn't last long. 2 minutes to be exact. Lovely move from Kickstart Rush, and it was capped off with this side-footed effort from Raymar Waters, back of the net. Final score, Kickstart Rush 1, St Andrew Lions 1. Second encounter now, Britons Hill in the black and white versus Wotton. Brilliant one-touch passing from Britons Hill, and the cross is met by the head of Kurt Neil Franklin. That's the opening goal. Fast forward 34 minutes on the clock. Wotton looking for the equaliser. Damar Linton with the cross. Handball the call, penalty awarded. Khalil Vantapu Nurse then stepped up and slotted home as you were, 1-1. 3 minutes later, Wotton took the lead. Britons Hill unable to deal with this corner, and Vantapu Nurse is in the right place at the right time. Wotton 2, Britons Hill 1. But this game was far from over at that point, as Britons Hill came from 2-1 down to win 3-2. Yeah, lovely action at the Wildy Turf, and that was the first game. Kickstart Rush being held to a 1-1 draw with St Andrew Lions. Well, Shamar Buju Edwards, he opened the scoring for the Lions early on, and then Raymar Walters replied for Kickstart Rush. Kickstart Rush held to a 1-1 draw. Well, Corey, I'll start with you. Your assessment of that 1-1 draw. That result means that there is now a four-way battle at the top of the BFA Premier League. It has been so competitive. 4 teams on 16 points. Your thoughts about that?
Well, even from the first round of games, they said it's going to be very competitive and it's live at the task. So it come to a point like every game, like a finals, a draw just as bad as a loss. So you got to keep that working in our favor, start not winning. So they'll go in front of us. So the game tomorrow against Paradise will really determine who will be the real leaders.
And I think, Corey, you're taking a bit of a look at my notes, because that's the next question that I'm about to go to you. Tomorrow, you have a game in hand against Paradise, who've been playing some tremendous football, if you're being honest. Kent, a former Paradise head coach, sitting right next to you. How are you preparing for this matchup?
Well, we don't really reveal our tactics or whatever, that's just me naturally. It's play on the field, but we are preparing it very serious. We're taking this match very serious. Last year we come third by goal difference, so that got the men even more hungrier to achieve, a better result this year.
And you made some transfers. I think you dipped into the transfer window. I think it was about 150 to 200 million pounds that you spent in the transfer window. You brought in Darian King, you brought in Marco St. Hill, that is, and a number of other players who've been really gelling good with your squad. I must say that. How's the chemistry been working?
Well, as you can see, the proof is in the pudding. It's sometimes be a little challenging getting new players to really acclimatize each other, knowing their strengths and weaknesses. But from practice, we are seeing the chemistry. And Marco come and Marco be so energetic and very positive. Always want to train, put in the work, and that's the main thing. We know we can't get the good results if we don't put in the hard work. So the chemistry has been actually developed quite naturally.
Yeah, what I was very impressed with is you guys lost some players, obviously in Jaheim Headley and Shaquan Clark, but you've been able to bring in reinforcements, and not only reinforcements, Corey, but quality reinforcements as well.
Yeah, the transfer market was very, as you know, in Barbados. A player may tell you one thing and they know somebody coming through the back door, don't make something happen. But what I respect of all is loyalty and commitment.
Yes.
If you're coming to Ellerton, come to play football for Ellerton. It's not about you. It's not about the coaches and management. It's about Ellerton. And that's what I've seen. And it's been a great mixture of experience and youth. The young Devonta Hart, first game, he played at left back, had a very marvelous game. Akil Barrow from Paradise, So it just goes to show you that the older players are actually mentoring the younger players. And so that makes it, as a coach, it makes it much easier to get over certain things, right? So the chemistry is definitely growing stronger.
And I'll move the question over to you quickly, Kent, your assessment of how the league has gone after 8 rounds.
Well, I'm glad to see that it's competitive. I think that's really important for raising the standard of football on the island. Obviously, what I want is an environment that challenges our players and makes the pool of players that I am interested in at national team level even broader. So I'm really pleased to see that there are teams who are challenging Wales, who obviously for the last few seasons has at some points run away with the league. I think it bodes well for the competitiveness, and hopefully everyone will continue to challenge each other and grow the standard. Also, seeing a few of the products of our youth national teams creeping into Premier League teams, and that is obviously also a really good indicator for how things are progressing.
Yeah. Let's now look at the second match. Britain's Hill defeating Wotton, edging out Wotton by 3-2. Very interesting match as we see some of the highlights here on our screen. But Vincentian Kirkneil Franklin, he had his second hat-trick of the season. You must be impressed.
Well, obviously being a non-national, he's not a player on my radar, but it's still good. Any player bringing quality to the league is going to force everyone else to step up. So that's obviously still a good thing, but hopefully it inspires not just players within the club he represents, but those he has to play against to say that, yeah, I go maybe do a little bit more. So that's still a positive.
Do you think these players coming into Barbados in the BFA Premier League, it is raising the standards of our league here?
I'm not sure if I could speak specifically to any evidence of that overall, but the theory would stand to reason that it would. So it's a question, as I said, of how players and clubs respond to those things. If there are players within Britain's Hill who feel inspired or challenged by his presence to do more, then good. And as I said, likewise, if the opponents, if defenders in other teams say, I got to do a little bit more to be able to deal with him, then great.
And Corey, I'll ask you this question. Britain's Hill have started really well in the BFA Premier League. What do you think is the key to their success so far in this season?
Well, they have a very strong desire to win, to be honest. I see that in them, but to me, they're not as consistent as they should be. They're a team that me and Fabian are actually neighbors, right? You know what I mean? So, we banter, we've got regular, right? A team that I respect, I don't underestimate them. We have a lot of good derbies in the past. And actually, we haven't played yet in the first round yet. They're our last match in the first round. So that we have two very interesting back-to-back matches in Paradise and British Hill. So we got to put in the work.
Yeah, and I know you're a team that works really hard. Let's move now to our final match. Last night, Weymouth Wales defeating UA Blackbirds by 4-1. A double, really, from Keon Atkins, and then strikes from Mario Harewood and Mario Williams. Your assessment, I'll start with you, Ken. Your assessment of how that match went.
Well, unfortunately, I was unable to watch that one. I normally tune in on the FIFA Plus platform, but was unable to see that one last night because our senior women were also in action last night. So I was glued to that one. But obviously, the result might suggest that maybe Weymouth have kind of found their Wales have found their groove again. But you know, I can't obviously speak to the specifics of it, but I think if again Weymouth, if Wales find their groove again, I think again it will make sure that everyone else kind of stays on track, and so that's about all I could say on that.
Corey, you agree with Kent, Wales perhaps finding their groove? And I know this result, it made the table relatively interesting. We'll see the points table in a couple of seconds, but quickly, your thoughts on what?
Yeah, on a real, I respect Wales. We respect everything. They know how to win. Win is become a habit. And when you know to win, you do what it takes to win, because you have the experience, the greatest teacher, right? It's that the other teams that can't say to stop Wales from winning, right? And we have seen chinks in their armor. It's a manner of penetrating and becoming successful. You know, so it's not like certain teams playing Wales are like, we see the less goals scored against us. The teams actually come in to compete with Wales now. So that, I just can't say, that really says a lot good for the Premier League now.
Yeah, I do agree, and I want to spend a little bit of time here in terms of speaking on the Premier League table, because we just saw 4 teams. Here it is again: Paradise, Kickstart Rush, Ellerton, and Britain's Hill. It's locked at the top. Those 4 teams on 16 points. Weymouth Wales just outside of the top 4, in 5th position, that is, with 15 points. Then we have UA Blackbirds, Pride of God Hill. They're both on 9 points, 6 and 7. And then St Andrew Lions, incredibly, they're out of the relegation zone with 5 points. And then the 2 bottom teams, Bagatelle and Wharton. We spent so much time speaking about the top of the league, but let's look at the bottom. Bagatelle, Wharton, and St Andrew Lions, and it's so close with those teams. Just one win could change, a win and a draw, really. 2 wins, really, and you're out of the relegation zone. So it is quite an intriguing battle at the top, and it's an intriguing battle at the bottom as well. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, is a problem I don't have to wrestle with. But I suppose more than anything right now, I have more interest, and I get more, let's say, satisfaction from seeing the rivalries between the coaches. These are people that I will have either played with or against as a player, who've been playing their trade now as coaches for a while. Some of them have gone through the certification pathways with as well. So I think a lot of what we're seeing also speaks to an improvement in the standard of coaching across the island, and it's a good sign also that I think should lead to a general competitiveness. If no one is kind of getting blown out and everyone's having to fight for every match, then it means again that will drive the standard of play up, and that's going to be good for football.
Yeah, and a couple of teams as well: Bagatelle, Ellerton, Pride of God Hill, and Paradise still having some games in hand as well. I know you mentioned about the coaching and the standard of the coach. I know you were once the head of coaching education, so that means that the Barbados Football Association is definitely doing something right if we're seeing these big rivalries and the matches in terms of the scorelines being a bit closer. Well, guys, this is where we take a pause and come back with more on Touchline. TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power. TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power. Welcome back to TouchLine, sponsored by Powerade and Dasani, as well as the Barbados Football Association. Well, it's my favorite part of the show. It's what we call Link Up, where we chat with a player who we're featuring. And on this episode, we chat with the man leading the goal-scoring column for Paradise, Sharon Hoyt.
I started playing football from primary school. My whole family, everyone in my family liked football, even the girls. So at a certain age, around 5, 6, I realized that I could play good. So, and I was always like one of the best in my age groups. So I just continued. I used to play other sports like cricket too, but I always had the love and the passion for football. And I always know that one day I could get far, you know, if I get the right people behind me to push me, I would get far. He gone but not forgotten, Rudy Grosvenor. He was my cousin. So growing up, I always used to hear the people in the neighborhood and people at football talking about Rudy, you know, so he was somebody I wanted to be like, you know. And well, international players, I like all, because it's not easy being a professional. There's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of commitment, you know. Sometimes be a lot of pressure, you've got to deal with a lot. So I admire a lot of players overseas. Since up on a level now, he's got to deal with a lot, you know. Even if your team lost, fingers get pointed at me, but I play football all over in England, and it was a similar situation when I was at Fleetwood Town. I went at Fleetwood, and then I was like the man of the team. So every time my team lose, the coach used to always come to me and like, Sharon, what happened today? You good? Like, you know. So I just learned to stay calm in every situation that I can stay calm in, but I try to stay as calm as possible and talk to people that I love. That always go over certain situations. Like talk to people that I love and take my mind off of the game. I actually have a 1-year-old son, so he's motivated me. And then also lately, like a lot of little children were showing me love. A lot of little children actually like messaging me, like seeing me at football and talking about me and saying I was their idol and I was their goal, and you know, so I feel proud. Barbados know me for when people tell me I can't do something and I go out there and do it. So outside of family and loved ones, that's what keep me going. I like when people, like, I bet on myself every time. I like when people ain't believe in me. I like when people say I can't do something because I ain't going to prove them wrong. And then I can let them know that I proved them wrong. So that's what keep me going, proving people wrong. I recently came back from Trinidad. I get another opportunity to go down there when the season starts back, but you know, right now we're just playing, trying to reach a level that I ain't reached yet, and right now my name making noise, so hopefully it expand from Barbados to the Caribbean, then from the Caribbean to Europe. So I give myself time. I still young, but I know the older I get, the better I gotta get. So I just give myself time. I ain't worrying about the future. I just doing what I could do right now, and that is train hard, play good every game, and just keep my name ringing. And one day, somebody will come back and get me again.
Yeah, always good to hear from Sharon Hoyt, and he's definitely one of the most confident players in the BFA Premier League. Well, it's now time where we look at the goal of the week, and it comes from the Ellerton captain, Shaquille Bell, helping his team to a 4-1 win over St. Andrew Lions. TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power. 2 minutes to go before halftime. Rashawn Braffett into Bell, who unleashes a thunderbolt. Ellerton 3, Lions 1. TouchLine, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power. Yeah, top goal from Ellerton's captain, Shaquille Bell. Let's quickly go to talk about the Barbados national teams. A tough outing for the under-20s, as well as the girls playing in the CONCACAF W qualifiers. But Kent, I still believe some positives still to take away from these campaigns.
Yeah, there are always positives, and it's important to look to them. At worst, it's a gauge, but there are always moments in matches where you can see positives based on the work that's been done, and it's just important to not. We're still very much in a process of development across all of our teams, to be honest, even those that are results based, because we know there's a gap that we want to bridge between the results that we currently get and where we think we should be. I always say Bajans are nothing if not ambitious, and sometimes unreasonably so, but I think it's one of the things that's going to drive us to the heights that we can get to. So yeah, we gotta always take the results on the chin and reflect on them and grow from them. So I'm sure in both instances we'll be able to do an analysis of it and improve. So one more match for the U20s, and I'm hopeful that again they'll be able to improve on the performance.
How can we improve in terms of the female department?
I mean, the female football on the whole, there's a lot of room for development. I think we recognize that increasing the amount of football being played, women's football being played, is the starting point. That's the only way you're going to really improve development. So it's a bigger lift for different reasons, but the reality also is that it's well within our scope of control. So it's about us trying to engage and get more people involved.
Yeah, so Kent Hall, optimistic that there will be brighter days ahead for the under-20s and of course the senior women's national teams. Well, as I mentioned before, big matchup tomorrow night, Ellerton versus Paradise. That match at 9 p.m. and then before that, Pride of God Hill versus Bargatal, and I can't wait to see who will be the winners of those games. Well, just a quick word from you guys. Corey, I'll let you start first because you're in the hot seat. Oh, Paradise and Ellerton, top of the table clash.
I remember pressure is normal, man. All right, but I still got my kudos to my hardworking coach who I haven't game on order, my manager Terrence. Yeah. All of this is a collective thing. You're not just on the field. You know, you got to start. I mean, at the game. Sorry, you got to start at practice. That way, it really starts. You know, so kudos to mine to put in the work, and these players are happy. They're excited. They're hyper. I have seen a real different hunger in these boys, but not boys like it's a men. But overall, you see the discipline. Discipline is one of the key factors of our great results this season. I was even commending them the other day. I say like, we hard to get killed, we hard to get cars, and that's very commendable, knowing our reputation too, right? So we had a very serious talk with fellas and show well you got to stay disciplined to achieve great success. So I'm pretty proud of them. Yeah,
thank you so much. This has been another episode of Touchline, sponsored by Dasani and Powerade. This is our show for tonight. I'm Anmar Goodrich Boyce. On behalf of our entire technical and production team, we'll see you next Monday on the Touchline.